There are stories that sound so unbelievable, so fantastic, that you have to think they're made up. Today, I'm going to tell you one of those stories, and you'll have to figure out whether it's true or a lie. Born Anno Domini 1912, deep in the fog-veiled forests of Virginia, Bill seemed, at first, like any other man. From a young age, he felt drawn to the wild, as if some unseen force lured him into the depths where his fate lay in wait. As a park ranger, Bill roamed the endless expanse of the national park, a dark wilderness steeped in ancient secrets. The towering trees stood like stone sentinels, their crowns lost in veils of gray mist. Here, Bill performed his duty with the devotion of a true lover of nature. But what malevolent force had chosen him? What dark power had decided to make him the plaything of its most horrific whims? The answer would not wait long. The first strike of doom, in the year 1942, Bill was on duty atop that cursed fire tower when a storm of apocalyptic violence erupted in the sky. The night was black as the soul of evil itself. The wind howled through the woods like the wailing of the damned. Suddenly, like the wrath of God himself, a blinding flash tore through the darkness and struck the tower with a deafening roar. The air was filled with the stench of sulfur and burning wood as the electric scourge surged through the structure. Bill felt the immense force tearing through every nerve in his body. The very flames of hell seemed to rise around him as he watched, writhing in agony, while his toenail was ripped off by the sky's devastating power. His skin, burned and disfigured, bore the scars of that first horrific encounter. The biting smoke rose like the incense of some demonic ritual. But he survived. Oh, had he only known the torment still to come! His eyes widened in terror. Heaven had chosen him as its victim, and there was no escape from this supernatural hunter. The years passed like a never-ending nightmare, as Bill lived each day in fear of the next lightning strike. Brief interruption. Here comes the resolution to the last unbelievable story about Sarah, who was pulled into the ocean by a monster wave while jogging on the beach and regained consciousness hundreds of kilometers away on a small, deserted island. So, who guessed it? No, this story is not true. This story is completely made up. Back to Bill's incredible story, a story so wild you couldn't dream it up in your wildest imagination. Every cloud became a threat, every rumble of thunder a harbinger of doom. In the year 1969, it would become clear his fears were justified. The second strike was already waiting, lurking like a predator stalking its prey. Bill was driving his truck down the winding park roads, the window open to the heavy air of that fateful day. The sun scorched the earth mercilessly. Nothing hinted at the disaster about to strike. Then, like an avenging angel from above, lightning struck once again from a cloudless sky. Through the open window came the searing force, ripping the eyebrows clean off his face, those signature features forever gone. He collapsed unconscious as the electric fury surged through his veins. The world blurred into a sea of sparks and blinding light. When he awoke, the brutal reality of his curse became clear. He had truly been chosen by terror. The sky had not forgotten him, but pursued him with relentless vengeance. Only 1 year later, in 1970, the third strike. Bill once again stepped into the wild, driven by duty and a morbid fascination with his fate. This time, the wrath of the heavens struck his left shoulder with a force that hurled him to the ground. His clothes burst into flames like dry twigs, his hair blackened into charred ash. Like a walking pyre, he stumbled through the forest, while the trees seemed to laugh in mockery. Bill screamed in agony. His cry echoed through the woods like the wail of a condemned soul. The fourth strike was not long in coming. Fate knew no mercy. In 1972, while Bill worked in his ranger cabin, the small hut nestled among tall pines seemed like a haven of peace, but lightning knows no boundaries. Like a demonic intruder, it crashed through the window, glass shattering into 1,000 glittering shards. Again, his hair caught fire, His legs were licked by hell's flames. Bill realized with growing dread there was no escaping this supernatural pursuer. The fire danced around him like the spirits of his own despair, the acrid smoke nearly stealing his breath. His screams echoed through the forest, a dirge of horror. In 1973, the most unthinkable horror occurred. Paranoia began to take hold of his tormented mind like a creeping poison. Every shadow became a threat, every cloud a potential executioner. Bill developed strange rituals. He always carried water, crossed the street whenever a storm neared. His movements became twitchy, his eyes restless, constantly scanning the sky for his invisible hunter. People began to whisper. The fifth strike, in the year 1973. The sun blazed down mercilessly on the endless ribbon of asphalt winding through a shimmering land of dust and heat. Bill, exhausted from the journey through the furnace of the day, had no idea what stalked above him. Suddenly, a jagged crack tore the sky in two, and with it, any hope of safety. The lightning descended like a flaming demon, striking the vehicle like heaven's judgment, shattering glass, igniting flames, making metal scream. Bill, engulfed in smoke and panicked heat, escaped the inferno, but his skin now bore the burning seal of divine fury. The sixth strike, 1976. It was a calm inspection walk by a quiet lake, the water smooth as a mirror of damnation. The shoreline lay peaceful, almost deceitful, shrouded in pale mist, birds chirping of false serenity. Then once again light tore through the sky, as if the universe itself cursed him. The lightning struck down, hit the damp ground, surged through the limbs of a man who had long since forgotten wonder. The lake, moments ago silent, now growled like a grave refusing to close. The seventh and final strike hit him in 1977, while peacefully fishing, that tranquil act of rest and solitude. Bill sat in a small boat on the lake, fishing rod in hand, seeking peace for his battered soul. But it was the deceptive calm before the greatest terror. The bolt hit his hat with the precision of a divine sniper, piercing his head like a glowing spear. The metal of the fishing rod became a conduit for heavenly rage. The current tore through his body like liquid fire, every nerve screaming with unbearable pain until his shoes exploded with a violent pop. Unconscious, he lay on the shore as the roaring in his ears faded forever. He had lost hearing in one ear. When Bill awoke, the world had become one dimension quieter. The silence in his deaf ear, now a constant reminder of his suffering. 7 times the heavens had unleashed their wrath upon this one man. The aftermath of this unspeakable curse was more horrifying than death itself. Bill's body was covered in scars, burns, and disfigurement, a living atlas of divine vengeance. His hair, white as snow from sheer terror, his gait that of a broken man. But worst of all was the transformation of his soul, now blacker than the deepest night. People began to avoid him like a leper, a man marked by a curse. Children cried at his sight. Women crossed themselves in whispers. Bill became a pariah, the living symbol of incomprehensible doom. The world took note of his unbelievable fate with a mix of fascination and horror. The Guinness Book honored him with a macabre title, one as bitter as wormwood. Television, press, and scientists flocked to him as if to a living curse. Science confirmed. Lightning could strike a person more than once, but Bill's case remained unique in human history, 7 times. The odds were astronomically low, virtually impossible. In the year 1983, after 71 years of suffering, the drama came to its tragic end. The man who had survived 7 lightning strikes, who had defied the wrath of heaven 7 times, could no longer resist his true enemy, the despair within his own soul. Loneliness had eaten into his heart like acid. Isolation drained his will to live. With his service weapon, he ended his earthly torment. The shot echoed through the woods like a final cry of despair. Birds scattered in fear. The echo rolled through the valleys. And so ended the most unbelievable, horrific, and heartbreakingly sad story a human heart could bear. Not by lightning, but by the even crueler force of human despair. Bill, the man hunted by lightning for a lifetime, now rests in the eternal silence of the grave, finally freed from his earthly curse. Truth, or just fiction? You'll find out when we meet again for the next unbelievable story. If this story fascinated you, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment with your thoughts. Truth, or just fiction?